Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Wonderful to see you all here tonight. The rabbi is enjoying a weekend off to celebrate his anniversary, so if we could all wish him a happy anniversary, he and Karen, I'm sure he would appreciate it on the count of three. 1, 2, 3, happy anniversary! All right, we'll see him when he's back. In the meantime, let's greet one another, turn to someone you don't know, or maybe you don't know as well, wish them a Shabbat Shalom, introduce yourselves. Okay, that's enough greeting. And I'd like to invite you to turn to the candle lighting, which we find on page 2, and the candle lighting lottery is spinning right now, and the dial has fallen on Roberta. Would you like to light candles?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Roberta. We'll continue with Kabbalat Shabbat as we turn to page 12. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria letzor yishenu, nekadem afanav betoda. Naria, naria letzor yishenu, Bizmirod naria lo, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai, lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai and raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Top of page 13. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru miyom liyom, yeshuato, samchu v'goyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim niflotav, ki gadol Adonai, uchulal meyod, norachu kol al Elohim, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa, hod v'hadar lefanav, oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho. Yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umlo, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umlo. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umlo. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, umlo. Ya Allah sare v'chol asher bo, az yiranenu kol atzeyar, lifnei Adonai kiva. Kiva lishpat haaretz, yishpot tevel betzedek, ve'yamim be'emunato. Let's read together at the top of page 14. Sing to Adonai a new song. Sing to Adonai all the earth. Sing to Adonai, bless God's name. Proclaim God's victory day after day. Tell of God's glory among the nations, God's wondrous deeds among all peoples. For Adonai is great and much acclaimed. God is held in awe by all divine beings. All the gods of the peoples are mere idols, but Adonai made the heavens. Glory and majesty are before God. Strength and splendor are God's temple. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai, for God is coming. For God is coming to rule the earth, and God will rule the world justly and its peoples in faithfulness. The bottom of page 14. Adonai malach tegel haaretz, yismechu yim rabim, Hanan verafel sevivav tzedek umishpat michon kiso. Ohave Adonai sinaora, shomer nevashot chasidah, miyad reshaim yatzileim. Or zarua latzadik uishreil simcha. Or zarua latzadik uishreil simcha. Tzadikim ba'Adonai, ba'Adonai, v'hodu lezecher kodesho, lezecher kodesho. Or zarua latzadik u'yishrelev simcha. Let's continue at the top of page 15. Adonai is sovereign. Let the earth exult, the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds are around God. Righteousness and justice are the base of God's throne. Join with me. O you who love Adonai, hate evil. God guards the lives of God's loyal ones, saving them from the hand of the wicked. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. Top of page 16. Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor vekozimra. 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 בחצוצרות וקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבבה, נהרות ימך וכף, יחד הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, וימים במישרים. Page 18. מזמור לדוד, אבו לאדוני בני אלים, אבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, אבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בחדרי קודש, כל אדוני על המים, אל הכבוד ירים, אדוני על מים רבים, כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון, וסיריון כמו בין רעמים. כל אדוני חוצב להבות אש, כל אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יחלל איילות, ויחשוף יראות, ובהיכלו כולו אומר כבוד. אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. As we read those words, I was struck. Adonai lamabul yashav. Adonai sits enthroned upon the flood. And this week we are thinking about the flood. And so with that in mind, we'll turn to the flood of love and joy we experience when Shabbat enters our lives with the words of Lecha Dodi on page 20. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor bediborecha hishemiyanu, elam yuchad Adonai echad, Shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet ve'elitila. Lecha Dodi likra kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 2, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי יקרא קהלה פני שבת נקבל נקבלה, לך דודי לקרא קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5, התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקרא קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקרא קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. And now, if it is your custom to rise and meet the metaphorical bride as she metaphorically enters the room, please feel free to rise. If it is your custom to stay seated, please feel free to do so at this time. You can also greet one another with these words. Verse 9. בואי לשלום, עטרת בלגן בשמחה, ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקרא קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקרא קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Welcome, friends. Please join us. There's a moment when we turn around customarily, for those who are watching at home and those who just entered. There's a moment at the end of the last prayer when we rise and we greet the metaphorical Shabbat queen, the Sabbath bride. And there's also another custom that invariably someone shows up at that very moment and is greeted by the whole congregation facing them, which can be uncomfortable, except that tonight, two of the people who entered at that moment are actually about to celebrate a wedding. So we're very pleased to have them here, and we're excited. So with that in mind, we'll turn to page 22, Psalm 92, the Psalm for Shabbat. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שמחתני אדוני בפעלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. At the indented part of the page, צדיק אתה אמר יפרח, כרז בלבנון ישגה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות Eloheinu yafrichu. Od Yenovon beseva, Deshenim verananim yiyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai suri velo avlatabo. Page 24, Shalom Aleichem. We greet the angels in our midst, the ones that are unseen, and also the ones we can see, but sometimes don't. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barechuni LeShalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitechem LeShalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Close your books. So, this week we are reading from the Torah, Parshat Noach, the story of Noah. And most of us know how it goes. We've heard the story. And I'm forced to ask a question you may have heard. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? You know the song from the Muppet movie, right? Kermit is sitting on his lily pad, and he's playing his banjo, he's plucking away, and he's asking, why are there so many songs about rainbows? And it's a good question. There do seem to be a lot of them. Now, everything we've been reading from the beginning of Bereshit, of Genesis, which we just began 2 weeks ago, up until now in the Torah, everything seems to be going pretty good. It seems people are living really extraordinary long lives. Methuselah, really long life. But this week, things seem to go sideways. All of a sudden, God declares the earth is corrupt, and the Eternal is determined to destroy it. And so the flood, and Noah, a righteous man in his generation, we are told. He is instructed to build an ark, to bring in the animals 2 by 2, and wait it out with his family, while the rest of the world drowns in a watery grave. Great for Noah, for everybody else, not so much. Now, like I said, Noah was righteous for his generation, an ish tzaddik ledorotav. Noah didn't argue with God when God says, I'm going to destroy the earth. Noah just goes, okay, I'll build the ark. And he didn't warn anybody either. He didn't go to his neighbors. He didn't go to the town hall. He didn't even put up a note like on the grocery store bulletin board. He didn't post anything on Facebook. The flood is coming. Nope. Just shoot his family into the ark, a couple of the animals, close the hatch. But at least this week's Torah portion has a wonderful happy ending, one that features a keshet, a rainbow. Now, this morning I sat right about where I'm standing now, a couple feet away, and I sang with the preschool kids from our early childhood education center here at TBE. And they're so filled with wonder and with joy and with innocence, and it really took me back to my earliest memories, also at a preschool, not unlike our own ECEC here at TBE, where I was singing a different rainbow song. You probably know this one too, that you can sing a rainbow, right? You name all the colors, red and yellow and pink and green, orange and purple and blue. At least one person knows it. Thank you, Neil. You can sing a rainbow. And I remember being in preschool, I must have been 4, and singing this song with my art teacher. And it was really an amazing moment. It stuck with me. Now, maybe that song doesn't resonate with everybody here. Maybe a different one is the famous one written by Harold Arlen, right? From The Wizard of Oz. You know that one, right? Somewhere over the rainbow, about an idyllic place where trouble melts like lemon drops high above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, right? It's a little Mandy Patinkin impression. Where you'll find me. He's always a little higher. There are probably dozens, if not hundreds, of songs about rainbows, and that's only in English. I'm sure there are many, many more if you count all of them up. But getting back to Noah, at the end of the story, there's the ark and the disembarkation, and the Eternal makes a covenant never to destroy the earth again. And that's a sign, the rainbow. And the animals all come out marching 2 by 2, and all of Noah's sons descend from the ark with their wives and their children, and they repopulate the earth, and it's the end, and yay, rainbows. At least that's the version we tell our children, so as not to scare them. But when we peel back the layers a little deeper, the entire earth has just been wiped out. It's a little dark, a little frightening even. And one of the first things Noah, our great hero, our Ish Tzaddik Ledorotav, does when he gets off the boat is plant a vineyard, make wine, and get really drunk. Maybe I would too if I had just witnessed the destruction of the entire earth, but it doesn't speak well for Noah. And of course, that's after he builds an altar to the Eternal, upon which he sacrifices some of the very animals he just had in the ark. Kind of a question mark there, Noah. I mean, perhaps this is the answer to the question, what happened to the dinosaurs? Brontosaurus burger. And what about the corruption of the earth that God so detested? The lawlessness, the hatred, the murder. As it says in Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, there is nothing new under the sun. Indeed, with all the hatred and vitriol and war and destruction and the disposal mentality with which we now treat our environment, I'm willing to bet that God sometimes wishes that rainbow promise never happened. But it does sound a bit familiar, doesn't it? And perhaps that's why this tale has a happy ending with the rainbow and God and Noah, because the very destruction God was bent upon, we humans seem to do quite well on our own. Why destroy the earth when he can let us destroy it ourselves? Of course, it's allegory and really a story about the imperfection of human nature, of which we know all too well. I mean, I think about that symbol of the rainbow and what it's turned into in our own day and age, a symbol of diversity and pride. One can't help but think of the fight and struggle for dignity and human rights for our gay and lesbian friends, all the different parts of the GLBTQ coalition, hard fought and won rights in this country. And now, not long thereafter, those rights are precarious, especially given the ominous tone we hear, which was once only quiet snickers at cocktail parties, And it's frightening given the disposition of the judiciary at this very moment. And it's not just them either, but all the other parts of the broader Rainbow Coalition. For African Americans whose voting rights, and indeed their very lives, are subject to the whims of slim white racial minorities in states where the memory of slavery and Confederacy still remain alive 157 years after the guns of the Civil War were silenced, and nearly 55 years after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And more recently, ugly hatred has been shown to our Asian American neighbors, attacked openly on the streets of New York by ignorant thugs who confuse their fellow American citizens for the cause of COVID owing to their own allegiance to a certain cable news network. Together with the stream of immigrants escaping hunger, famine, violence, and war, be they from Latin America, South Asia, Africa, the Middle East, or Ukraine, they, in and of themselves, comprise a kind of rainbow. And then there are the Jews. Yes, we stiff-necked people, whom, according to the song National Brotherhood Week by the great satirist Tom Lehrer, everybody hates. Now, anti-Semitism is real, and though we seem to have escaped its jaws for several decades, it has indeed been on the rise for some time now. We all saw how under the previous presidential administration, despite there being Jews in the closest inner circles at the highest ranks, that permission, be it through dog whistle or outright statement, was given to the most ugly and extreme anti-Semitic groups to recruit, to organize, and march through our cities like latter-day brown shirts chanting, "Jews will not replace us. Jews will not replace us." Just today, you may have seen in the news, a man broke into Nancy Pelosi's house in San Francisco and, not finding her there, assaulted her husband. Now, when the police researched this man, they found he had fomented the spread of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories online. This just days after the former president warned American Jews on his social media platform that we, quote, ought to get our act together. We know that words like that are what led to some, quote, very fine people, unquote, creeping out of the back storerooms in which they once met, hooded, wearing bed sheets. And now they come without them, emboldened, into the streets to escalate their attacks on we Jews. Now, it would be bad enough if it was a random spray-painted swastika here and there, or fascist symbols flashed in public. But the hateful language we now hear in the streets and the QAnon conspiracy theories about Jews in Israel fill the internet, pollute it, corrupt it. And that's not all. We know all too well it's escalated to physical violence. Visibly Jewish individuals, usually men, have been the targets of assault in the streets, in restaurants, right here in New York City. And then there's the arson of synagogues in Texas, Massachusetts, Kentucky, and even here in New York City. And worst of all, the attacks on our houses of worship during worship, leading to murder and mayhem in Jewish congregations across the nation on the Holy Shabbat. Poway, California, Colleyville, and of course, Pittsburgh. To quote a post I saw recently, if you don't know what it's like to pray protected by armed guards, you don't know what it's like to be an American Jew in 2022. This Shabbat is tragically the 4th anniversary of that horrible attack at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, where 11 of our fellow Jews were murdered in cold blood simply for being Jews. And to our dismay, the attacks on Jews have not ceased, but increased. And to our disgust, the crazy conspiracy theories fueling that hatred behind the attacks have even been embraced by politicians, representatives in the Congress, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who believes that Jews controlling space lasers are responsible for forest fires. And she's not alone. Other political figures likewise embrace absurd theories about Jews or blow dog whistles to bolster their bigoted political base. And on the left as well, demonization of Israel and the Jewish political right to a homeland, which we call Zionism, have made life on American college campuses intolerable. And in the intellectual and cultural spheres, there is open hostility to Jews, and specifically those who support Israel and its right to exist, even if they do so critically. The recent ban by a diverse coalition of law school student organizations at the University of California campus at Berkeley of speakers who embrace Zionism means that even the dean of students of that institution finds himself unable to speak to students on the very campus of which he is the dean. And so I ask, is this the Rainbow Coalition? Is it one that is accepting of everyone? Perhaps, unless you're Jewish. Now, there was a time when that was kind of a joke, right? It was a punchline. But now, in 2022, after everything that's been said and done, after all the help we've extended to our allies, where are we and what is happening? How is it that the very groups, the allies that we have helped in the struggle for liberation and equality have seemed to turn on us? How is it that though we have chanted in the streets, as Jews, si se puede, and Black Lives Matter, that when Jews are attacked, it is greeted with a shoulder shrug? Don't Jewish lives also matter? Why is it that we feel so alone in the march for our own lives? Now, I've got to tell you, I never thought that anti-Semitism was a subject that I would be speaking about in a contemporary context from the Bima. From a historical context, of course. But growing up, it was never like this, at least not where I lived in Deerfield, Illinois. But now, it seems like we're under constant assault. And perhaps it doesn't feel so acute here in Great Neck, where 70% of the population is Jewish, just like Deerfield. But we can't miss that in the media, every week there seems to be another incident, another assault, another attack, and the drumbeat seems to grow more insistent, both from the right and the left. And so it should be no surprise that given the atmosphere, this week, a certain unhinged rap music mogul with failed presidential ambitions and what seems to be a considerable amount of delusion would feel comfortable saying in public, on the media, what used to be the quiet part. He says it now out loud. His assault on the Jews. And though it seems to be verbal, we know that verbal assaults on our people, or on any people, lead to physical assaults on people. That where words are sometimes employed, guns are eventually deployed. Now, Kanye West is said to have enjoyed reading Mein Kampf, and it came out today that he wanted to name one of his albums after Adolf Hitler, whom he apparently admires. Now, it's disgusting to us, but we can take comfort in that this is coming from a provocateur who recently wore a t-shirt in public sporting the words, "White Lives Matter." After all, Kanye West is no Cornel West. Say what you will about say what you will about the at times controversial professor of African American studies at Princeton, and formerly Harvard. The latter has the intelligence, academic heft, and an actual dialogue with the Jewish community of which he is at times aligned and at other times critical or at odds. But Kanye is no Cornell. His anger and hatred of the Jews is of the sort of classical canard that Jews control the media, the entertainment industry, exploit a certain race or class of people, in this instance, African Americans. And yes, let's acknowledge that relationship between Jewish Americans and African Americans isn't perfect and has had its shameful chapters, but on the whole, the lie of exploitation in the face of the shared history of oppression and fate and the fight for equality amongst our peoples is a complaint that, like so many other things in our day and age, ignores the truth. Now, we know that here at TBE because in this very room, in this very synagogue, perhaps feet away from me, is a place where Dr. King rallied moral and financial support from the Jewish community of Great Neck, and assuredly members from this congregation, to wage war on racism, poverty, and inequality. And we, the spiritual descendants of those who once sat in these pews listening to his words, must not allow such bigotry and hatred to linger long in the ears of our countrymen and women. Now, we are just 2 weeks away from the 84th anniversary of Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass in which hundreds of Jewish businesses were destroyed, synagogues set alight, Jewish books burned throughout Germany. And it seems at times, it feels sometimes, like we're witnessing it happen in slow motion here in the United States. I don't think we'll ever quite get there, thank God. But I want to raise your attention to this because we sometimes feel a little too safe and a little too unsure about what to say when these things happen. Sometimes we hear it at the water cooler or someone around the corner or maybe in a grocery store, some comment, some lie. And we have to know how to confront it, how to say even to our friends and allies, that's simply not true, that we're people too. Now, the next day after the anniversary of Kristallnacht, Thursday, November 10th, the Anti-Defamation League will hold a day-long conference and national gathering in New York at the Javits Center called Never is Now. We've all known that phrase, never again. Never is now. And speakers at that conference will include figures like Liz Cheney, David Schwimmer, Abigail Pergrebin, FBI Director Christopher Wray, a broad and diverse array of speakers. To name just literally a few, there are dozens. I encourage you to look into this event and to attend. A little closer to home, TBE will be hosting a talk by Alexander Friedfeld. Mr. Friedfeld works with the ADL's Center of Extremism, where he monitors anti-government extremism with a particular focus on the militia movement and the Boogaloo movement. To date, he's trained thousands of federal, state, and local law enforcement officers on a variety of extremism and domestic terrorism-related issues, and that program is on Sunday, November 20th at 9 a.m., preceded by a breakfast. So that's here at TBE. Now, information on both those programs is in our emails, and I don't want to come across as a complete fearmongerer. I actually think that, like the rainbow at the end of this week's Parsha, there are signs for hope. Yes, Kanye lost his record deal, and his business endorsements, and his agent, and there's more to come. And people are beginning to speak out against this rise of anti-Semitism. But I must implore you, Facebook posts are not enough, and neither is hiding in our homes. We will not be subject to another Kristallnacht because our community can and does take measures to protect everyone who walks through our doors. We have hardened our facilities, but we must not harden our hearts nor our minds. We must educate ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. And more importantly, we must educate our neighbors, our friends, and our allies. We must not shrink from them in the fight for freedom, even when they are mistaken. And we must remember to speak out against bigotry of all kinds, especially from amongst our allies, because we do have our place alongside them in the rainbow connection, along with the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Told you there'd be a happy ending. There's always a happy ending when there's a rainbow. Speaking of happiness, it's my pleasure at this moment. I think it's my pleasure. Is it my pleasure? Yes? No? No? Not yet? Okay, good. It is indeed my pleasure and joy to invite up to the bima a couple that is about to be married, Stephanie Weinstock and Ed Jones. Stephanie is the daughter of Gary and Daniela Weinstock, our members. And so I'm gonna invite you to stand right here in front of the bima, because you're actually quite tall, and I don't want anyone to see how tall you actually are. So compared to me, which is to say, I don't want anyone to see how short I am. So you are here tonight for what is called an ufruf, which sounds like something that a dog might say, but actually it's a quaint old custom in which we elevate a couple and recognize them the week before their wedding in the face of the entire community. And this is something that may involve a little pain. I'm going to warn you. It may involve a little pain because in the wish to impart upon you a sweet life in your journey into nuptial bliss, your friends and your family members are going to shower you with candy. Now, that's not bad. We tell everyone it's going to be soft candy. Don't throw Jolly Ranchers. Don't throw entire candy bars. And this actually is a custom that is rooted in the Sephardic Jews, the Jews of Spain and their descendants, who used to do this, and they would roll fruit down the aisle, which somehow turned into throwing fruit, which got a little messy and a little painful. And so as you reach this moment, and the wedding is Friday, right? Okay, so it's coming. We want to give this gift of sweetness to you and offer you words of blessing, our people's most ancient blessing, which is in the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy, but has also been found in the historical artifacts. A tiny silver scroll found in Jerusalem from over 2,000 years ago are inscribed these words. Yavarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you always. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's countenance always be raised up and shine upon you and offer you and everyone who encounters you grace. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God raise your faces and let the light of God's presence always be with you in everything that you do, to shine upon you and to give you the gift of peace, of wholeness, of shalom. Amen. And now I'm going to step behind the podium here. I'm going to ask you to turn around and for everyone to say Mazel Tov. Throw the candy. Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov. Yehi lanu, Yehi lanu, Yehi lanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehi lanu, Yehi lanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehi lanu, Yehi lanu. Mazel Tov to Ed and Stephanie. Thank you so much. Now, another custom that is part of the Ofra ceremony is that the youngest people in the room come and collect all the candy. So if you're under the age of 18, feel free to come and do so. All right, thank you, Ed and Stephanie, for making us part of your celebration. Take the whole bag. Good luck on the ride home. Woo! Thank you so much. Congratulations. Looking forward. All right. And know that even though you live in the Bronx, you're always welcome here at TBE, both of you. You and all your families. Okay, while the cleanup continues, we're going to continue with our service on page 26. Yitkadah v'yitkadosh shemei rabbah v'yalmad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru amen yehi shmei rabbah mevorach Leolam olam me'omaya yiparach yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekodesha richu le'ela min kol bilchata v'shirata Tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimeru amen. Page 28. La 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Are you listening? to my prayer. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. La 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 la. Page 30. La 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 la. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons. Join with me. And arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Amariv Aravim. Page 32. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha avta Torah mitzvot chokim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu u'v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yameinu v'yorech yameinu uvahem nehege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla v'yahavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. 34. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Now, Lashevet, you may be seated. We continue on page 36. Ve'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha veshinantam levanecha veribarta baham veshivtecha bevetecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukashartam leot ayadecha vehayu letotafot bein einecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. With the word truth on our lips, let's turn to page 39 and read together at the bottom of the page. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory, may earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages the vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Lie, 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 lie. Feel the waves of the sea as you rock back and forth in your seats as we cross the high land to the other side. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nehedar b'kodesh nora tehilot osef ele nora tehilot Osef ele malchutecha ra'uvanecha okei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam ze Elianu ve'amru ze Elianu ve'amru Adonai yimloch Leolam vahed Adonai yimloch Leolam vahed Lai, 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 lai 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 ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Page 42, we ask God to spread the shelter of peace over us and over all the earth. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'amidenu shomreinu shomreinu lechayim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ויעמידנו שומרנו, שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו, סוכת שלומך. ופרוס עלינו, סוכת שלומך. Let's read together at the bottom of the page. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against all enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming, to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Top of 44. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. You see the game now, right? וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Ladies and gentlemen, Shai Kedmi. Sometimes it's same. We have a secret language that we speak. Before we did Micha Mocha on the cue sheet, it has a different version, and so I just went like this to Shai, and he understood that I was talking about a specific, just from that little motion, a specific melody. So we have to have some fun up here, and we do. And I'm glad you could be part of it tonight. Let's turn to page 46. I invite you to rise if you're comfortable, to your feet or in your heart, whichever is the easiest way, as we arrive at the central prayer of our service. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. 48. Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכה חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. Page 50. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים מאמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. I invite you to continue in private meditation using the words provided on the right-hand side of the page, the traditional liturgy, or the interpretations of the left side of the page, or using the language of your heart, standing or sitting as is your custom. Feel free to continue your private meditations at your own pace. You can also join me for the evening prayer for pace on page 60. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam, Shalom Rav. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam, V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך, שלום רב, שלום רב, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, שלום רב, שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם, שלום רב, שלום רב. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. As we turn to page 253, we turn our hearts to those who are suffering in our midst, those who are going through a period of illness, those who are suffering physically or emotionally or spiritually. As we prepare to recite these words, I invite you to mention their names as my eyes meet yours. And all those whose names we hold in our hearts. Mi sheberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel vLeah, uyevarech et hacholim. Mi sheberach Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel vLeah, ויברך את כל החולים. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say, Amen. I invite you to turn to page 282. As we rise, if it is your custom, for Aleinu at the bottom of the page. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, latet kedula leyotze bereshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated. As we turn to page 294, we think now of loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, or whose death occurred at this season in years past, and those whose souls we have drawn into our own hearts. If you are observing a yahrzeit this week or in mourning, please rise as the name of your loved one is read aloud. This week we are marking the passing of Ina Platsky-Kopferberg, Paridocht Saraf, Rachel Bat Yosef. And in the past 30 days of Shloshim, Helen Levitan, Doris Pak, as well as the yahrzeits of Mildred Abrams, Leon Abramson, Rose Edelberg, Seymour Burke, Debbie Eichen, Yetta Harnick, Bernice Hirsch, Beverly Rylander, Samuel Schneider, Francis Stein, Isaac Zimmerman. If I've left any names unread, feel free to share them at this time. In that case, if it is your custom to rise in support of the mourners or to recite Kaddish for the martyrs of our people, feel free to do so at this time as we say together, Yid Gadal v'Yid Kadash Shemei Rabba ve'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevorach le'elam ulomei almaya yitparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal Shmei dekudesha brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Ose shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. Okay, before we conclude, a few announcements. Of course, tomorrow morning, Torah study at 9:15 a.m. with a 9 a.m. start to the schmooze. Don't forget that we are online and in person, and we have moved to the West Multipurpose Room. Next week, we have Shabbat morning. We also have Shabbat morning service this week at 10:30 a.m. online and in person. Please join us. It's been lovely to have so many people coming for Shabbat morning services. Next week we have a baby naming, a simcha. the Cohans, Mike and Rogine, welcomed a baby just the other day. And so there'll be a big, huge Sephardic baby naming here. It's going to be really interesting. And I invite you all to come. That's Saturday morning. Friday, November 11th, Erev Shabbat service with Pizmon. It's Shabbat Capella. Everybody come and join us for some wonderful a cappella music. There's going to be a congregational dinner beforehand, pasta and salad and pizza. That starts at 5:30, and we welcome you to register online for that. You can all come to the service, and the a cappella group is going to sing some songs, wonderful music, and they're going to join me for the prayer service. Last year, it was amazing. It was so incredible. So join us for that. The next night, we're going to have actually an a cappella pajama havdalah. Yes, for families with children under the age of 6. It's at 5:30, so it'll be a quick, we'll have some dinner, and we'll have some ice cream and some music, and it'll be lovely. Come dressed in pajamas, but please, it's for the young families. But if you have a grandchild that you'd like to bring, please do so. If you're truly a child at heart, okay, we won't stop you. Sunday, November 13th, Thanksgiving meal packing program. It's a great full packing program at 10 a.m., followed by a bagel breakfast. And then, as I said earlier, Sunday, November 20th, the TBE Sisterhood and Brotherhood present an ADL update on anti-Semitism, 9 o'clock breakfast, and 10 a.m. program featuring speaker Alexander Friedfeld. Okay, with that, I'm going to set everything else aside, and I'm going to invite the Weinstocks to come up and do Kiddush and Motzi, because they have a simcha in their lives. So we turn to page, I think, 4. And I should see if there's, I think is it 4? Is it 5? I think it's 4. Yeah, it's 4. Okay, so let's make sure there's a little wine in the cup. Nope. I'll do, okay. Vayechulu hashamayim ve'yaretz v'chol tzevam vayechol Elohim beyom hashvi'i melachto asher asa vayishpot bayom hashvi'i mekol melachto asher asa vayavarech Elohim, Stephanie and Ed, vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayakadesh oto כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Hold it nice and high, even higher, even higher. There's a minhag, a custom, that a woman holds her Kiddush cup up as high as she wants her husband to be. And look. Okay, take it away, Savri. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrai kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon inchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Take a sip. All right, great. Anybody else who wants to share with her may do so. Okay, and let's do Hamotzi. Anybody who wants to take the cover off the challah? Okay, is it wrapped still? Oh, it's still wrapped. You can take it out of the other wrapping. In some traditions, like sometimes see Orthodox men wearing a kippah and then a hat on top of it. It's called a double cover. So anyways, we're doing that with the challah. All right, let's lift that up. Thank you. You don't have to lift that as high as you're intended. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Have a little bite. Yeah, there you go. Enjoy. You can't say the blessing and then not do the thing. All right, great. Let's close with the last verse of Adon Olam on page 321. E minor. Beyado av kidruchi, beit ishan ve'ayira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand. Beyado av kidruchi, beyet ishan ve'ayira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira. Shabbat shalom.